Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do please, folks, like and subscribe. I keep asking, some of you do, some of you don't, but it don't cost anything, and it helps. And don't forget to leave your comments. I like your comments. Even the insults, I can live with them. My wife calls me a lot worse, believe me. On the 27th of this month, at 7 p.m. here on Tales from the Jails, we're going to have a live broadcast by special request. Yes, folks, people have asked it, so make that a little note in your diary. 7 p.m. on the 27th, that's a Tuesday, and we'll have a live broadcast. I'm going to talk today about the block. The block at Strangeways, particularly, although many of the prisons had them. Where Strangeways was particularly infamous for the block. And what used to happen on the block? Well, on initial reception on the block, first of all, don't forget you're going to be in the main prison on what's known as ordinary location on the landings in the cells. And let's say you kick off there and there's a battle and you've gone to war with either another inmate or the staff. Then you're going to get uplifted and taken down the block. And you'll be held in the block pending adjudication. And adjudication would be when you're seen by the governor, usually Norman Brown when I was there, and the evidence against you would be presented by the prison officer who's preferring the charges, usually under the rules of good order and discipline against prison rules, and you'd be literally marched in, two big screws from the block, marched in front of the governor, give your name and number to the governor, give your name and number to the governor, 936 Smith or whatever it is. Then the charge is read out against you, and the governor will say, and how do you plead? Not guilty, not guilty. Well, the evidence is read, and the governor looks at this evidence and asks for any evidence, looks at a statement from the staff, then finds you guilty. And very often you'll get little more than 7 days, what's known as non-associated labour. And when you've got 7 days now, it means you're staying down the block for 7 days. So you marched out with him and stuck into one of the cells on the block on D1 landing, and that's when you meet the school bully. And in walks the school bully and says something like, right, you've got 10 seconds to hit me, lad, and after that 10 seconds I'm going to give you the best hiding you've had in your life. Well, I've seen that many times. There's no point in a member of staff like me trying to intervene because, believe me, it might not be the school bully, but it'll be one of the henchmen down the block that don't like you intervening. So it's better to keep out of it, unless you're going to join in, that is. And then what happens is, I've never seen anybody win, actually. Seen one or two take a swing, but that was about it. See, the school bully was a former heavyweight weightlifting champion who didn't have no neck, by the way. I've heard my son-in-law suggest that no matter who you think, you just punch them in the neck, under the throat, But if you got a neck that starts about here, and it just goes out like that, you don't have much chance of doing that. Anyway, I'm not sure that would have upset the school bully too much. Just amused him and made the punishment all the more painful. So once you've received that, you get all your clothes ripped off you, and then you're thrown into the cell. And during the day, all your bedding is taken out of the cell. So all that you're left in the cell is a completely empty cell, a piss pot and a jug of water. And if you were particularly violent or aggressive, or thought you could fight back, then you didn't get out for your meals. You got your food dropped in to your cell on the block. And the thing was, the staff had a strange habit of adulterating the food. I was taking the lunch in, but I think it was lunch, it was on a metal tray. I'd like custard and a bit of cake and mashed potato, and I was just going past the staff, and they said, "Right, where's that for?" I said, "It's for the Black Panther, whoever he was." Yeah. Nielsen, I think his name was, yeah. "All right, come here." So I went home, and they put his hand in the dustbin. This senior officer, by the way, put his hand in the dustbin, pulled out a handful of crap, flung it on top of the dinner that I had in my hand on a metal tray, got his fingers like that, put his fingers into the mash and all that, mixed it all up, and said, "Feed him that." So, what do you do? If the guy who's in charge is doing that, who do you go and see, So I just put it into the Black Panther's cell. He was a horrible bastard, by the way. He killed 4 or 5 people, hadn't he? And hung that girl from a noose in an underground sewer. Horrible piece of work. But that's what he got every day. And I saw him, and he seemed to be thriving on it, actually. Sit-ups in the morning, press-ups, step-ups, press-ups, jump up and down, arms raised, all that, all day long. I don't know who he was trying to impress. I don't think he impressed the school bully. And they had one guy down there who was built like Tyson Fury. He was about 6'6", 6'7", might have been a bit bigger than that. Great big hands, barrel chest, huge fella, must have been about 19, 20 stone, big boy. One of the biggest men I've encountered, and at the time I was a nursing officer, and I was taking the medication round to this guy. I think he was on Largactil or something like that. Anyway, so I opened his cell up, opened the door. The block staff were behind me, and he was stood in a bowl of water, naked in a bowl of water. Giant guy, all hairy as hell. And he was drinking water from an aluminium jug. I said to him, you keep doing that, you're going to hurt yourself, And he just looked at me and he went, like that, bloody laughing away. I thought, God. So I managed to get him his Largactil down, and glug, 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 more water. Anyway, I told the doctor, I said, "Listen, he's drinking vast amounts of water in there. He's going to damage his kidneys, isn't he?" "Really, Mr. Sutton? You think so?" "Yeah, I'm wasting my bloody time there." So anyway, subsequently, this big guy, whose name was George Wilkinson, by the way, have a look, questions in Parliament about why this happened. Anyway, after about a week down the block, and believe me, George Wilkinson, like all the rest, no matter how big he was, he got the treatment. But it wasn't that damaged him. What damaged him was drinking all this gallons and gallons of water. He was transferred to Walton Jail, that's Liverpool Prison, HMP Liverpool. And the following morning, after he'd been transferred in the afternoon, the following morning he was found dead in his cell. I believe he died of kidney failure, which he'd brought upon himself. So I was down the block, and the telephone rang, and one of the senior staff answered it. "Yeah, who was it? What can we do?" They said, you could hear it, He said, is that Strangeways? Is that the block at Strangeways? "Yeah." Who's speaking?" It was some chief inspector of police from Cumbria. They said, "Yeah, how can we help?" He said, "I'm just ringing to thank you, lads." See that, George Wilkinson? Yeah, well done. He was terrorising this community. He was terrorising the village, you know. Said, oh, thank you very much. What was all that about? Eh? Chief Inspector of Police ringing up, thanking the block. What had we done? Anyway, time passes. The block, it's still there, but I think it's run by the whole Stess Brigade now. Don't know what they get out of it. What would they get out of it? Not much, I don't think. I'm trying to get the song up here. Where is it now? It's disappeared. Come on. Get me back to my song. Because I'm going to sing to you, you know. Yeah, just give me a sec. I'll get that up. Yeah. Won't be a minute. I know that you're all wanting to escape now. Because of the noise that's about to occur. Yeah. Where are we? Yep, here we go. This is, I better bring the song dinger, hadn't I? That's the song dinger. Don't forget, like and subscribe. This is Paper Doll, originally recorded by the Mills Brothers. May 1942. So there we go. 83 years ago. Wow. Are you sitting comfortably? Final warning now. Song dinger. That's it. Here we go. I'm gonna buy a paper doll that I can call my own. A doll the other fellas cannot steal. And then the flirty guys with their flirty eyes will have to flirt with dollies that are real. When I come home at night, she will be waiting. She'll be the truest doll in all the world. I'd rather have a paper doll to call my own than a fickle-minded real live girl. I guess I've had $1 million or more. I guess I played the doll game o'er and o'er. I just quarreled with Sue, that's why I'm blue. She's gone away and left me just like all dolls do. I'll tell you boys, it's tough to be alone. It's tough to love a doll that's not your own. I'm through with all of them. I'll never fall again. Say, boy, what you gonna do? I'm gonna buy a paper doll that I can call my own. A doll that other fellows cannot steal. And then the flirty guys with them flirty eyes will have to flirt with dollies that are real. When I come home at night, she will be waiting. She'll be the truest doll in all the world. I'd rather have a paper doll to call my own than a fickle-minded real live girl. They are. I think you'll find there's some difference between a paper doll and one of them real ones. Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton.